Hello everyone, Trina Phoenix here, and I think this is going to be 1.2 or 3, and this will be on alchemy. And again, I just wanted to reiterate, I think this literature is super important because it helps us reconnect with the power of how to manifest and what it is to manifest and why do we manifest and what is ascension and how do you ascend and what are the true abilities that we have within us that have been hidden. And it's just like a muscle you don't use, it atrophies. So right now, within where we're at within humanity, it's so funny because I see that everything has been shut down and locked down to force us to go in our homes. Go in your home. It's time to go inside and be still. And then I look at what was the effect on the planet. I see what it did to the material world, and it caused chaos and fear and panic. But then I look at what it did to the earth, and I see healing. It's profound, beautiful healing. So it looks like we will be going into a very important time, and it'll be a time of very important choice. And some part of me, since I was a little girl, I had an awareness of aliens, and I don't know how, and I don't know why. And I saw my first ship when I was about 10 years old, kind of up close and personal. And since that time, I always knew that there was a bigger world than most humans could see. I had a spirit guide who was the Lord Jesus, which was, to me, it was normal. But for many, they would have thought that was insane, that I could talk directly to the Lord. But it was just the way I was born. I had it my whole life. My earliest memories were of my invisible friend, and that was him. So I've always had an awareness of these things, and being born in the growing up in the 70s, this wasn't something you spoke about. So I was very blessed. I was raised very rural. I played out in the desert and rode a dirt bike since the time I was 5 years old. I didn't have a lot of neighbors. I lived out in the middle of the orange groves. So it was very rural. So I got very connected to nature. And the relationship I developed with nature when I was a child, I think, is what has saved me as an adult. So I see the world and the technology, and they're trying to implement technology to connect us to it without our agreement. So they're trying to force this upon us. So I'm seeing that humanity is like, I'm not going to have it. This is not my path. Many of us are choosing the organic path, the path of nature. And I'm seeing that this is going to be a split between some that want to go into the technology and some that wish to stay organic and embrace what they truly are. Because what we are organically is so precious. And one of my future selves, I believe, because we've existed in many different potentials existing simultaneously, attaching to multi-realities. So one of my selves in futuristic either has a connection or transferred into the technological construct. So after this took place, there was not a clear understanding of what it would do. And it goes back to there's certain muscles in the body, if you do not use them, they atrophy, they dissolve, they fall away. And this is what I saw that happen to the people that go to the transpersonal humanism. They lose their connection to soul and source. And many of our future selves are the ones that are harvesting our genetics over the past 50 years because they desperately want to return to what they were. So, I have seen this potential, and this is why I am so anchored in the fact that, no, I don't want to be hooked up to technology. I want to be organic and remain that way. So, this is why alchemy is so important, that you learn alchemy. You learn the power of what you are. You learn to access your own inner healer, inner shaman, inner Christ, and then you collect the consciousness of the whole and become unity in your own I am presence. And it's a beautiful blending of being connected to all that is and being strongly connected to your own identity and your own force. So, many people are struggling right now with very intense energies. Many are feeling like they're losing their stability, losing their foundations, feeling very serious and real dark entities and energies coming in on them. You must understand, all that shows up in your reality, you are creating it. This is your work. You are manifesting it. So, if you want it to stop, you have to find peace within you. And when you connect to your stillness and your power, you will be shielded. It's automatic. So you need to get grounded. You need to pray, meditate, and breathe. Get back into your own field. Stop letting the interference come into your field. It only comes in because you think it will. You're thinking of it. You're thinking about it. Yes, these things are real. Yes. But this is your job, is to keep your frequency up. When you get afraid and when you are diving deep and trying to have confirmation that these things are evident or real, you will never get that. You need to know yourself what is really happening within your reality, and you are the only one who can manage that. No one else can. No one. I wish they could. There's assistance. We have great, great assistance from beautiful, beautiful beings, ancestors, connections through bloodlines, connections through our solar system, chakra system, planetary beings, wisdom, zodiac, on and on and on and on. Through the fractals we go. And we're connected to all of it. You got to get back into your own power. Your own power. And that is by what you think and what you feel. What you perceive about, you will bring about. And what you feel about, you're manifesting in your world. So this is the key to alchemy. The key to getting out of dark energies. When those things are happening, there's so many things that you can do to stop it. I mean, literally, blast harp music. Dark energies do not like harp music. It's like on their energy field. So there's like a million things you can do. Sing, dance, paint, write. Go into your own darkness. Look at what is showing up in your reality. This is a projection of your own fear. So you're afraid of what's showing up. So face it. Face it. And then it's done. Because, I've taken a lot of people into the recesses of their own mind and their own being to confront the monsters in the closets. Every time it's done, they're like, I cannot believe that I was letting that hold me back all these years. No. The shadow, it's the key to your freedom. So when fear comes up, darkness comes up, hit it straight on and say, thank you for showing me what I'm afraid of. Now let's work it out. Straight up. Work it out. Only you can, because you only know how to fix your fear. And it's there because you've experienced it on some level. So no, this is part of how you know how to operate in this matrix, is because you've been through something similar before. And this is why you can connect to the fear, because it's familiar. Like I said, nothing can come into your reality that you do not allow in through frequency. It's a match, or it cannot show up. So know this, and get your mind straight. Ground into the earth, connect to the sky above you, and flood it through your heart. And be still and know that I am. Everything will shift if you can truly do this, and if you can mean it and know it. And fear not. Fear not. You're eternal, immortal. You're experiencing a physical human vessel at this moment, but this is not what you are. And it's not what you came from. Nor is it where you will go when you're done with it. So where you go will be a product of what you've created in this reality. You're going to vibrationally match that which you thought of and that which you projected, created, and participated in. So those of you having a real battle with some seriously dark energies, this is because you've been playing with those energies for a very long time, and now they're manifesting full-blown in your reality. The great thing is, though, if you're powerful enough to manifest them in your reality, you're also powerful enough to manifest anything else you choose. So, like I said, it's that sword, man. It'll save you or it'll slay you. So let it save you. And that's done through the word. And the word is a frequency, and the frequency is attached to thoughts and images. So make the word become your sword. Don't let it harm you because you're thinking bad thoughts, speaking bad words. Shift your frequency, get into a higher vibration, and do not allow it into your field, your force. So we will get a little bit more into some alchemy and Master Saint Germain. And it was so funny. A few weeks ago, I went up to a friend of mine's house, and he's an inventor. And they've always been very connected to Master Saint Germain, as where I've always been connected to the Lord. So, which I've worked with the masters for many years too, but literally, the Lord was there when I was a baby, and I always had him in my mind. So, I go to this ranch, and we were just having dinner and talking, and then all of a sudden, the energy shifted in the room, and we felt the presence of two beautiful beings start to come into the room. And the female that was with me, there was a female and a male there. The female looked at me, and she was like, Master Saint Germain has just arrived. And I says, yeah, and he brought my best friend. And she goes, oh my God, Jesus is here. Oh, and I start laughing. And then the male was like, whoa. He was like, wow, I've never seen those two together before. And the thought came into my head was that they were brothers. And I was like, are you two brothers? And they literally started laughing, and they were like, not in this lifetime, but in others. And I was like, oh, that totally makes sense. It just, like, all these connections just connected in my head. I was like, that is so funny. And then because like I said, I have a lot of deep thought and a lot of crazy questions go through my brain, and I am all about asking questions. So I was like, "Are you a vampire?" Oh, and they started laughing again, and the guy was like, "You can't talk to them like that." I'm like, "Oh no, they understand. They know what I mean because we know each other very well." So they started laughing again, and then he was going, because he couldn't believe I asked the Master and the Lord Jesus, "Are you guys vampires?" And I just really, really wanted to know, and oh, the joy in the room. You can't put it into words, but it was just so wonderful. We were laughing so hard. And because I think you are. And they looked and they looked at each other, and then they looked back at me and they were like, "Yes, kind of." And I was like, "Okay, but do you need blood?" And they were like, "No." And I was like, "Okay." So I was like, "So if I'm understanding within this construct, within duality and polarity, we're all consuming energy of some form." And he goes, "Yes." And I said, "So hence vampire." And he's like, "Yes, this is a system of death, entropy." I was like, "Okay, I got it." So then they understood what I was asking, and it wasn't like the blood-sucking vampire question, even though it kind of was, but it was a bigger question. It was do we need to feed here? Do you even need to feed as beings? Is this still kind of a requirement within the duality? And they were like, in essence, yes. This is kind of a feeding system. So I was like, okay, well, that makes sense to me because I see it going up into more dimensions with this whole consumption thing. And they were like, yeah. So it's so amazing because it's like you need to honor these beings. They will come and work with you. They literally they love to help. So have a lot of respect. But like I said, I've been working with these beings for a long time. And they know me, so they know when I'm asking these questions, they know it is not any disrespect. It's literally like, for reals, help me out. I need to understand this more because I know I'm onto something, but I don't have all the pieces yet, so I'm trying to work it out. So they just laughed, and they did say that they were brothers and very connected. And I've had these since 1994, 95, 96. I started collecting these books in that timeline. But this new one I'd never had before. And my friends up at the ranch, he showed me this book, and he said, "This is one of my favorites that was ever written by Saint Germain." And I was like, "Wow, I've never even seen that book before." And it was so crazy because it's got 4 books within it. And that was so funny because they'd never seen the Lord and Saint Germain together before, and I never had either. But I always sensed they were very connected. Like, I just knew it. And I didn't know how I knew it, but I just knew it. And then the last book in this book, I just saw this 2 days ago. Because I haven't read this book. I'm reading it with you. So, but a Valentine from Saint Germain. The last book is Jesus and Saint Germain. And I was just floored. I'm like, whoa. You guys actually wrote, you transcribed literature together? I didn't even know that. So it's like, the synchronicities and the confirmation, when you're on the right track, they just keep coming one after another, after another, after another. So follow your own synchronicities, because the synchronicities that you're having, those are what you need to pay attention to, because we're all doing different parts. Like I said, we're all doing different little pieces of this grand puzzle. We're creating a new world. So with that, we will get a little bit more into the alchemy, but I just had to share that story with you because I thought it was profound, and it was really profound when I saw that in the book that there was actually these two wrote a book together in this book, and it's one of the last books in it. So we will be reading it together, and I can't wait to read that. It's going to be profound. So everything's coming together for a reason. So, okay, this is a writing from Saint Germain in the beginning of this, this is the first book, and this is Alchemy. And this is what Saint Germain wrote. And it says, the inner meaning of alchemy is simply all composition, implying the relation of the all of creation to all the parts which compose it. Thus, alchemy, when properly understood, deals with the conscious power of controlling multinations and transmutations within matter and energy, and even within life itself. It is the science of the mystic, and it is the forte of the self-realized man, who, having sought, has found himself to be one with God and is willing to play his part. Saint Germain. Then this is from Shakespeare. Full many a glorious morning have I seen flatter the mountain tops with a sovereign eye, kissing with the golden face the meadows green, gilding pale streams with heavenly alchemy. Shakespeare. And it says XXX 111, which is 33. So Shakespeare 33. So chapter 1 is the law of transfer of energy. Now this is the amazing part. This is kind of like Jesus would teach. He would teach you alchemy and teach you how to do magic through stories. So that's why I was like, it's very important that we listen to the stories of the masters, because there's much within them that's for the ones who have ears to hear and eyes to see. You will hear and you will see. So, 2,000 years ago, when Christ walked upon the waters of the Sea of Galilee, his demonstration was a manifestation of the natural law, the law of levitating, operating within an energy framework of cohesion, adhesion, and magnetism. The very principles which make the orbital flight possible. Now look at that too. It's a trinity. Cohesion, adhesion, and magnetism. So these very principles make the orbital flight possible. The very light atoms composing the body of Christ absorbed at will an additional quantity of cosmic rays and a spiritual substance whose kinship to physical light made his whole body light, thereby making it easy for him to walk upon the sea, as it was upon the dry land. His body was purely a ray of light, shining upon the waters. The most dazzling conception of all was his ability to transfer this authority over energy. He transferred it to Peter through the power of Peter's own vision of the Christ in radiant, illumined manifestation. See? Because Peter believed that he could do it because he saw the Lord do it, he could do it. This is how it works. It's belief. If you know, you know. So, by taking his eyes temporarily from the Christ, however, Peter re-entered his human fear vibration and vortex, which immediately densified his body, causing it to sink partially beneath the raging seas. The comforting hand of Christ, extended in pure love, reunited the alchemical tie and the flow of spiritual energy through his hand, and Peter then again gently raised again into safety. The further example of the Master Jesus releasing a flow of energy, as in the case of the woman who touched the hem of his garment without his knowledge, aforehand shows the impersonal love of God, which responds equally to the call of faith from any of those creatures he has fashioned so wonderfully and so purely in the supreme hope of absolute cosmic freedom for all. These two examples refer to the aspects of the great cosmic law, which is not commonly known, but which are commonly discussed or skirted about by religious groups. The law of transfer of energy is vital to the science of alchemy, for without it, it is impossible to create matter. It is a law that nothing cannot create something. It is a law that nothing cannot create something. Okay. Interesting. True knowledge of the impersonal law of transfer of energy is also vital to the correct understanding of the great law. For it proves that God, who makes the sun to shine on both the just and the unjust, does manifest through both. Jesus declaring during his Palestinian mission that the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. It must be realized, then, that it is possible to wrest from the hand of God some of the secrets of the governing forces of nature and the controlling matter, even through the individual and motive be not absolutely pure, but let none ever think that the one so doing shall escape from accountability, for he is fully responsible for each use or abuse of this energy within this world. This is what I told you. You misuse these things and get ready. It's going to hurt. The reason I am choosing to begin my exposition on alchemy with a note of warning and a sobering explanation is not to cause anyone fear, but rather to instill in all who read a deep and abiding reverence for God. Yes. Which is the only fear permitted in our octave. Yeah, that would make total sense. It is in reality holy awe that engenders within all who love the great law of love. Yeah, this is true. The fullest respect and adoration for the wisdom which so fearfully and wonderfully made all creation in the image of fearless freedom. Wow. All of those who misuse the powers of the universe for selfish ends will find sooner or later that they must relinquish their hold upon their ill-gotten gains, and the penalty they pay is frightful indeed. Ooh. To produce substance, to feed the poor, to heal at touch a withered hand, to raise the dead, and to even set aside natural law and perform, by the magic of alchemy, miracles of infinite wonder. This seems to mankind to be the ultimate in their use of heaven's grace. I have had the privilege of experiencing that. Wow. Can I just tell you? That alone is worth its ticket right there. So aspire to see miracles in your presence, and you will see them by giving them away to others. This is not about you. This is about us. You must remember that. Let me embrace the spirit of freedom that makes it possible for a man made in the immortal, loving God-free image of his Creator to do these things and many more to benefit of society and to the happiness of his benefactors. But above all, let me praise the power and the proper use of the blessed divine science of spiritual alchemy. The ancient alchemist has ever been a colorful figure, even to his own contemporaries. But time has gilded his image with a glory far greater than which was ever possessed. And it is ever thus when approaching the aspects of the mystery. It is in the simple graces of life that men will find their freedom, albeit the more complex aspects are progressive expressions of the laws of life that shall enrich the well-being of this earth and of all its people, harnessing their total good on behalf of the most lovely world of freedom that could ever be conceived of, even in the mind of the new Atlantean. And that's us. We are the new Atlanteans. So much for the moments regarding the world society. So let us now consider the individual and his role in the use of alchemy. The inner meaning of alchemy is simple. All composing, all composition, implying it includes everything, all relationship, implying that the relation of all creation to all parts which compose it. This alchemy, when it's properly understood, deals with the conscious power of controlling mutations and transmutations within matter and energy and even within life itself. It is the science of the mystic, and it is the forte of the self-realized man, who, having sought, has found himself to be one with God and is willing to play his part. Through the years, men have attempted to glamorize me with the allure of distance and time and space, which is always lending to enchantments to the view. I do not sell myself short as the Father's handiwork, but in common with beloved Jesus, the others among the great masters of our brotherhood, I am especially interested that each man obtain his rightful place and the proper understanding of how he ought to exercise authority in the universe and in his own world affairs. Let every one who begins this study do so with the understanding that I have a purpose in speaking here, and that purpose is to make each one of you alchemists in the truest sense of the word. This means that you must become familiar at inner levels with all chemistry of God, and how each facet of creation is brought into manifestation in matter, in your consciousness, and in your daily life. In order to do this properly, you will need to meditate and reread these lessons many times, calling to me and to your own God self, your own I am presence, for illumination on any point that is not immediately clear to you. When you have the inner degree of alchemist of the sacred fire conferred upon you by your own Christ self, you immediately become a candidate for admission into the outer courts of the Great White Brotherhood. This factor alone is a great incentive for you to become proficient in genuine spiritual alchemy. It has ever been a fallacy of human thought to deny the so-called miracles in the life of the great avatar, Jesus. Nonetheless, he, as a Son of God, revealed to all these mighty formulas, which, if understood and practiced, would long ago have transformed this planet into paradise of perfection. Enough, then, of human nonsense, and of human creation. As Shakespeare would have said it, off then with the old, the decay and the moldering mustiness of this shapeless mass. On then with the eternal vastness of an unfettered spirit, a being of such freedom as moving seems apart even from reality, and projects the image of eternal hope into the tiniest gem or dewdrop, cupped with a blossom rare. I am for the freedom of all. Lovingly, Saint Germain. That was the end of it, and that's how it looks. All right, guys. So I have to go to work, but we will be starting again with Chapter 2, the purpose of your alchemical experiment. Remember I told you I'd always had a knowing that this was a massive experiment. So we came here to undertake something that was never done before. Something that many masters have tried to teach and tried to bring forth, but it never seemed to quite get anchored and done. So this time, in this age, in the second coming, the Lord always told me, he says, you came here to be one of my workers, one of my light workers, one of the ones who would be the seed planters. We would be the towers. We would be the radio antennas that we would be able to receive their frequencies and hear their messages and reconnect to our own higher powers through these vibrations. So we were the anchors, we were the towers, we were the ones that would bring in this information and do it and activate it within us. And the more of us that do this, eventually it hits, and it will change the world. I can't even explain it to you what I've been shown, but it was with the world getting popped and it went dark and the new one came and it was heaven on earth. Oh man, you guys want to sign up for that? I think this is what we're going to do. I really do. I've seen this 100 ways that you guys are going to walk on water. I hope I get to see this. It is what I manifest every day. It's what I work on every day, is seeing you guys do this. So, Soul Tribe, I love you. We're going to figure this out, and we're going to make some changes on this world that will be felt throughout the entire cosmos. And I do believe we will turn Satan into the greatest source of love known throughout the entire universe. So, I love you. I'll see you next one. And have a wonderful, blessed day. Blessed, B-L-E-S-T, because you're the best.